So picture this. You're a scientist studying some crazy alien world, and everything goes wrong. That's exactly what happened to Dr. Vextar and his research team on planet Kepler 442b. Now, this wasn't supposed to be a dangerous mission. These 6 researchers thought they were just going to study some interesting crystal formations and maybe discover a new type of mineral. You know, the kind of boring scientific stuff that makes for great research papers, but terrible adventure stories. Boy, were they wrong. Their shuttle crashes during what should have been a routine landing. The pilot, experienced Kepler named Zindao, had flown through asteroid fields and solar flares, but nothing prepared him for what this planet threw at them. The moment they entered the atmosphere, their instruments went haywire. Navigation systems started spinning like broken compasses. Communication arrays began picking up signals that shouldn't exist. And then the lightning started. But this wasn't normal lightning. This was a kind of electrical discharge that could turn a space shuttle into a very expensive paperweight in about 3 seconds. The ship's hull started crackling with energy, and sparks were flying inside the cabin. Emergency systems were failing left and right. The landing? Let's just say it was less controlled descent and more barely survived impact. Now they're stuck on the surface with life support failing, and they're surrounded by creatures that basically shoot lightning from their faces. We're talking about predators that have evolved to hunt using bioelectricity. Imagine a wolf. But instead of just biting you, it can also electrocute you from 50 feet away. Not exactly your typical Tuesday, right? The research team manages to get their emergency beacon working, and that distress signal starts broadcasting across space. It takes 3 whole days to reach the Galactic Emergency Network, which should tell you something about how far out in the middle of nowhere this planet is. When the signal finally arrives, you'd think someone would step up to help, right? I mean, 6 scientists are trapped on a death world with failing life support. Seems like a pretty clear-cut rescue mission. Wrong. So very wrong. The Altarian Rescue Corps gets the first look at the mission parameters. These guys are professionals. They've pulled miners out of collapsing asteroid tunnels and evacuated entire space stations during reactor meltdowns. They take one look at the planet specs and basically say, nope, so fast it probably broke some kind of record. Electromagnetic storms that could fry a battleship? Check. Gravity that would crush most known species? Check. Predators that hunt using bioelectricity? Double check with side of absolutely not happening. But it doesn't stop there. The call goes out to every major rescue organization in 3 sectors. The Centauri Medical Fleet, known for their advanced technology and fearless medical teams, runs the numbers through their computers. The result? A 99.7% casualty rate for any rescue attempt. They've got medical ships that can operate in war zones and asteroid fields, but even they won't touch this mission. The Rigel Search and Rescue Division looks at the atmospheric composition reports and immediately files the mission under impossible. The atmosphere is basically a cocktail of everything that can kill you. Sulfuric acid rain, radiation levels that would cook most life forms, and air pressure that would crush a normal person like a tin can. Even the vegan strike force gets involved, and these guys are legendary for being absolutely fearless. They're the ones who volunteer for the missions nobody else wants. Suicide runs through enemy territory. They're your team. Boarding hostile ships filled with heavily armed pirates? Just another Tuesday. But they look at the data from Kepler 442b and quietly excuse themselves from the conversation. One by one, every major rescue organization in known space basically says thanks, but we'd like to keep breathing. The excuses start piling up. Equipment not rated for those conditions. Personnel not trained for Class 9 death worlds. Insurance won't cover operations in electromagnetic storm zones. The translations all mean the same thing. We're not going there and you can't make us. The beacon keeps broadcasting, getting weaker with each passing hour as the research team's emergency power slowly dies. The message becomes more desperate with each transmission. Dr. Vextar's voice, normally calm and professional, starts cracking with fear. You can hear the panic setting in as he describes their failing systems and the creatures getting bolder, moving closer to their emergency shelter. And everyone just watches. Entire civilizations monitoring emergency frequencies, listening to these 6 scientists slowly run out of time on a world that seems designed to kill anything stupid enough to land on it. Military commanders shake their heads. Rescue coordinators mark the file as unsalvageable. Politicians offer thoughts and prayers, but no actual ships. The galactic community prepares to witness 6 more names added to the long list of scientists who died in the name of discovery. Everyone assumes this is how the story ends, with a beacon that eventually goes silent, broadcasting into empty space until the batteries finally die. That's when something unexpected happened. Something that would make the galaxy reconsider everything they thought they knew about who you call when the impossible needs doing. That's when Captain Jake Morrison and his crew picked up the signal. Now, Jake's commanding a Terran mining vessel called the Relentless, and his 12-person crew are exactly the kind of people you'd expect on a human deep space operation, which is to say, completely insane by galactic standards. See, the thing about humans in space is that we have this weird habit of volunteering for jobs that should kill us. While other species carefully calculate risk factors and run safety protocols, humans look at a death trap and think, challenge accepted. The crew of the Relentless? They're the poster children for this particular brand of human insanity. Jake himself is from the mining colonies of asteroid belt Sigma 7, where a quiet day means only 2 or 3 equipment explosions and nobody gets sucked into space. He's been running deep space mining ops for 15 years, which in human terms means he survived about 50 situations that should have killed him. His philosophy is simple. If the universe wanted humans dead, it should have tried harder. When that distress signal comes through their communications array, Jake's sitting in the captain's chair, feet up, drinking coffee that could probably dissolve metal. The message plays once, then twice. The computer automatically flags as a Class 9 Death World scenario and recommends immediate deletion. Jake leans forward and tells the computer to plot a course instead. Engineer Amy Walsh is the first crew member to review the mission data, and her reaction is priceless. She looks at the electromagnetic storm readings that made entire rescue fleets run away, and she actually grins. Oh, cool. It's like that job we did near the neutron star last year. And she's not joking. Last year, the Relentless spent 3 months mining rare minerals in a system where the local neutron star was throwing out electromagnetic pulses that could scramble your DNA. Amy rigged the ship's shielding to not just survive it, but actually use the energy to boost their mining lasers. The woman turned the death trap into a power source. Amy grew up on Europa Station, where the radiation levels would cook most species in minutes. To her, electromagnetic storms are just Tuesday weather. She's already pulling up technical specs, muttering about field harmonics and shielding modifications. The stuff that scared away professional rescue teams? She's treating it like an interesting engineering puzzle. Dr. Lisa Park, their medical officer, is already pulling up atmospheric readings when the mission data comes through. She takes one look at the list of environmental hazards and laughs. Sulfuric compounds, high radiation, man-eating wildlife, reminds me of home. And she's not even joking. Lisa grew up on New Texas, a colony world where the local insects are the size of cars and breathe poison gas for fun. The wildlife that's terrorizing the research team? On New Texas, they be considered house pets. Lisa's medical training happened in field hospitals on worlds where the environment was actively trying to kill her patients. She's performed surgery during meteor showers and treated radiation poisoning while dodging acid rain. The conditions on Kepler, for 42B that have medical fleets running scared, she's already planning her treatment protocols. But here's where it gets really crazy. The gravity reading that made other species immediately disqualify the mission, it actually gets the human crew excited. At 1.8 times standard galactic gravity, most species will be crushed flat. For humans, it's practically a vacation. Security Chief Dave Cooper is from Kepler, 16C, a world where gravity is 2.5 times Earth normal. Dave considers anything under 2G to be low-gravity operations. The man trains by doing push-ups with small boulders on his back. When he sees the gravity specs for the rescue mission, he actually complains that it's going to be too easy. I was hoping for at least 2.2G, he mutters while checking his weapons inventory. The rest of the crew has similar reactions. Navigator Tom Bradley grew up on Luna, where one mistake means you're breathing vacuum. Pilot Rebecca Stone learned to fly in the asteroid fields of the Outer Rim, where space is full of rocks moving at 30,000 kilometers per hour. Communications Officer Alex Turner served in the Terra Navy's Deep Space Patrol, where routine missions involve flying through solar flares and gravitational anomalies. To understand how crazy this is, you have to realize that while entire galactic civilizations are marking this rescue as impossible, the humans are actually getting excited about it. They're not just willing to attempt the mission, they're looking forward to it. Jake pulls up the mission specs one more time and grins. This is what his crew lives for. So what does this crew of absolute madmen do? They alter course immediately and burn hard towards certain death. No committee meetings, no risk assessments, no insurance paperwork. Jake just turns to his navigator and says, "Tom, plot the fastest course to Kepler, 442b." The ship's computer protests with about 15 different safety warnings. Jake overrides them all with his captain's codes. Their response message back to the beacon is perfect in its simplicity. Hang tight. We're on our way. 3 words that every other species in the galaxy finds absolutely terrifying when they come from humans. Because when humans say we're on our way to rescue you from an impossible situation, they actually mean it. And that's when the galaxy remembered something important. When everyone else says no, humans say, "Hold my beer." The descent through Kepler, 442b's atmosphere, is basically controlled falling through an electrical storm that would make Jupiter's Great Red Spot look like a gentle summer breeze. Picture this. Lightning that could power an entire space station is dancing across their hull like it's putting on a light show. Each bolt carries enough energy to turn most ships into floating scrap metal, but the Relentless just keeps pushing through. Acid rain is eating at their viewports, leaving streaky patterns that would be pretty if they weren't slowly dissolving the reinforced glass. The stuff is so corrosive it could strip paint off a battleship in minutes. Most species would be praying to whatever gods they believe in right about now. The atmospheric pressure is crushing in from all sides, trying to squeeze their ship like a tin can. Their instruments are going absolutely crazy from all the electromagnetic interference. Navigation systems are spinning like broken compass needles. The radar screen looks like someone spilled coffee on it and hit it with a hammer. Communication arrays are picking up phantom signals from who knows where. The ship's computer keeps throwing up error messages faster than anyone can read them. And what are the humans doing during all this chaos? They're chatting about lunch plans. "Hey, Amy," calls out Navigator Tom Bradley over the sound of electrical discharges hitting their hull. "You still got those protein bars from the Jupiter run?" Amy's busy rerouting power to the shields, but she still finds time to answer. "Yeah, the chocolate ones. Want me to grab some?" Meanwhile, Pilot Rebecca Stone is wrestling with controls that are fighting her every move, and she's humming some old Earth song like she's driving to the grocery store. Captain Jake Morrison is sipping his coffee and reviewing landing protocols like they're not currently falling through what amounts to an atmospheric war zone. "Lisa," he calls back to Medical Bay, "make sure you've got the good painkillers ready. These folks have been through hell." Dr. Lisa Park just waves acknowledgement while securing her medical supplies for landing. This is peak human behavior right here. While other species would be writing final messages to their families, humans are making sure everyone's comfortable and planning their next meal. They find the research station nestled in a valley between these massive crystal formations that are humming with enough energy to vaporize most life forms. These aren't your normal crystals either. We're talking about structures the size of skyscrapers that pulse with electrical energy like living things. Each one is throwing off electromagnetic readings that should make it impossible for anything electronic to function within kilometers. The crystals create this weird harmonic frequency that you can feel in your bones. It's like standing next to a massive tuning fork that's been struck by lightning. Most species would have their internal organs liquefied by the resonance alone. The energy discharged from just one of these formations could power a small city for years. Dr. Vexstar's team is huddled in their emergency shelter, which is basically a reinforced metal box with failing life support. They've been watching their power levels drop for days, knowing that once the energy runs out, they're dead. The shelter is rated for hostile environments, but nothing like this. It's holding together barely, but you can see stress fractures forming in the walls. Then they see something impossible. Through their tiny viewport, they watch in absolute disbelief as a human ship just lands, right there in the middle of everything trying to kill them. The Relentless touches down about 50 meters away, like they're parking at a shopping mall. Dr. Vextar actually rubs his eyes, thinking he's hallucinating from oxygen deprivation. Did they just land in an active electromagnetic storm zone? Whispers one of his team members. Another scientist is checking their instruments, convinced they've malfunctioned, because what they're seeing shouldn't be possible. The energy levels in this valley should have fried any ship's electronics before it got within 10 kilometers of the surface. And that's when the local wildlife decides to make an appearance. Picture a creature that's basically a 6-meter-long cross between a saber-toothed tiger and a Tesla coil. These things have evolved on a world where electricity is as common as oxygen. Their entire hunting strategy revolves around bioelectric discharge. They've got organs that can generate and store electrical energy, then release it in concentrated bursts that can stop a heart from 50 meters away. A whole pack of these predators has been circling the research station for hours, just waiting for the right moment to strike. They're smart, coordinated hunters. They've been testing the research team's defenses, probing for weaknesses, learning the patterns of the failing energy shield around the emergency shelter. Now they see new prey, bigger prey, the kind that might actually be worth the effort of a coordinated attack. The humans step out of their ship in full environmental suits like they're taking a casual walk in the park. Dave Cooper shoulders his plasma rifle with the kind of casual competence that comes from years of dealing with things that want to eat him. He turns to Dr. Lisa Park and asks in the most normal tone imaginable, "Lisa, how long do you need with the survivors?" 10 minutes should do it for initial assessment, she replies, already moving toward the research station with her medical kit. Dave nods like they're discussing a routine maintenance check. Tim, Rob, perimeter defense. Everyone else, standard hostile environment protocol. His voice is calm, professional, completely unbothered by the fact that they're surrounded by predators that can literally electrocute them from a distance. The creatures sense the humans' movement and decide it's time to attack. They rush forward in a coordinated assault, bioelectric organs crackling with lethal energy that lights up the valley like a fireworks show. These predators have never encountered prey that shoots back with military precision. They're about to learn something new about humans. The rescue operation takes 18 hours. 18 hours of working through electrical storms that would shut down most civilizations, while systematically evacuating terrified alien scientists and somehow managing to collect scientific samples at the same time. Now, to put this in perspective, most galactic rescue operations happen in controlled environments with backup support and emergency evacuation routes. This is like performing heart surgery while riding a roller coaster during an earthquake. The electromagnetic storms keep rolling to the valley every few hours, each one powerful enough to knock out the power grid of a major city. The humans just work through them like they're dealing with a light drizzle. Dr. Lisa Park sets up her mobile medical unit right there in the middle of what amounts to an active war zone between physics and common sense. She's treating the survivors for radiation poisoning and malnutrition like she's handling a common cold. "Okay, let's see what we've got here," she says, running her medical scanner over Dr. Vextar. The readings show radiation levels that should have killed him days ago, plus severe dehydration, and the kind of stress that comes from thinking you're about to die horribly. Lisa just nods and starts pulling supplies from her kit. Standard radiation exposure, grade 3 malnutrition, some electromagnetic nerve disruption. Nothing we can't fix. She says this while the ground around them is literally crackling with energy discharges that could fry a person's nervous system. To her, it's just another day treating miners who spent too long near a reactor core. The alien scientists are staring at her like she just told them she could cure death itself. Dr. Vextar can barely speak. How? How are you even functioning in this environment? Lisa looks confused by the question. Environmental suits rated for Class 12 hostile zones. This is maybe a Class 8. She goes back to administering treatments while electrical storms rage overhead. Meanwhile, Dave Cooper's security team has turned the area around both ships into a no-fly zone for anything with teeth and an attitude problem. Those bioelectric predators that had the research team terrified, Dave's crew is treating them like annoying pests. They've set up a perimeter defense that combines energy shields with good old-fashioned firepower. Movement on the East Ridge calls out Tim Rodriguez, one of Dave's security specialists. He's casually tracking a pack of the lightning cat things through his scope. 6 hostiles, standard attack formation. Dave doesn't even look up from checking his equipment. Rob, take the left flank. Tim, you've got Overwatch. Standard deterrent protocol. What follows is probably the most one-sided fight in the history of interspecies relations. These predators have been the apex hunters on this world for millions of years. They've never encountered anything that could fight back effectively. The humans don't just fight back. They coordinate, they plan, they adapt. Within an hour, the local wildlife has learned a valuable lesson. Humans are not prey. But here's where it gets really impressive. While all this is happening, engineer Amy Walsh is solving the problem that trapped the original expedition in the first place. Those massive crystal formations that have been throwing out deadly energy discharges, Amy's rerouting their power like she's fixing a broken circuit in her garage. These formations are incredible, Dr. Vextar whispers, watching Amy work. She's standing right next to a crystal that's humming with enough energy to power a space station, casually attaching some kind of portable field generator to its base. They would have disintegrated us in seconds. Amy looks up from her work, face hidden behind her suit's reflective visor. Yeah, they're pretty cool. Remind me of the Aurora crystals we deal with in the Jupiter system. Same principle, just bigger. She goes back to work like redirecting lethal energy is just another Tuesday. What Amy's doing is basically impossible by most species' understanding of physics. She's taking raw electromagnetic energy that should be completely uncontrollable and turning it into something useful. The portable generators she's using were originally designed for mining operations in asteroid fields. She's modified them on the spot to handle power levels they were never meant to deal with. The other humans are collecting samples of everything they can get their hands on. Navigator Tom Bradley is taking readings of the atmospheric composition. Pilot Rebecca Stone is mapping the electromagnetic patterns for future navigation. Communications Officer Alex Turner is recording the crystal resonance frequencies for the science teams back home. To the alien scientists, this looks like the most advanced scientific expedition they've ever seen. Multiple teams working in perfect coordination, collecting data that could advance their understanding of electromagnetic phenomena by decades. Dr. Vextar's team have been studying these formations for months and barely scratched the surface of understanding them. The humans figure out more about how they work in 6 hours than the original research team learned in half a year. And they're doing it while performing a rescue operation in conditions that should make scientific work impossible. By the time they're ready to leave, the humans have collected enough data to revolutionize 3 different scientific fields: electromagnetic physics, crystalline energy manipulation, and bioelectric organism behavior. The kind of scientific discoveries that win awards and get species remembered in galactic history books. And what's the human reaction to all this groundbreaking science? Amy finishes securing the last of her field generators and dusts off her hands. Not bad for a salvage run, she says. To them, it was just a slightly more interesting job than usual. That's when the galaxy started to understand something important about humans. We don't just survive the impossible. We make it look easy. The story of the Kepler. 442b rescue spread to the scientific community faster than bad news at a family reunion. Within days, every major university, research institute, and government facility in known space had copies of the mission reports. Scientists who spent their entire careers studying electromagnetic phenomena were reading about humans casually redirecting planet-killing energy discharges like they were changing light bulbs. Dr. Vextar became an overnight celebrity, which is probably the weirdest thing that's ever happened to a quiet research scientist who just wanted to study some interesting rocks. Universities across the galaxy started inviting him to give lectures about his experience. His first presentation was to the Altarian Science Academy, the same organization whose rescue corps had refused to help him. The lecture hall was packed. Scientists, military officers, government officials, and journalists from dozens of species all wanted to hear about being saved by humans from what every expert had declared an impossible death trap. Dr. Vextar stood at the podium, still looking a bit shell-shocked, and told his story. "I want you to understand," he said, his voice shaking slightly. "We were convinced we were going to die. Our life support was failing. We were surrounded by predators that could electrocute us from 50 meters away, and we were trapped in an energy field that should have killed us instantly." He paused, looking out at the audience. "Then these humans just showed up like it was nothing." The audience was dead silent. Dr. Vextar pulled up the emergency recordings from their shelter security system. "I want you to see what we saw." The video started playing, showing the moment the human ship landed in the middle of the electrical storm. You could hear the gasps from the audience as they watched humans step out into conditions that would have killed most of them in seconds. The emergency recordings went viral across quantum communication networks, which is about as close to internet fame as you get when you're dealing with interstellar distances. Other species watched in horror and fascination as humans treated killer lightning storms like mild weather and apex predators like annoying house pets. The footage of engineer Amy Walsh casually redirecting lethal energy became the most watched scientific video in galactic history. Military academies started using the recordings as training material. "This," instructors would tell their students, "is why you never, ever want to fight humans." The casual competence, the way they worked as a team under impossible conditions, the fact that they seemed almost bored by challenges that would terrify seasoned warriors, it all painted a picture of species that was fundamentally different from everyone else. The Galactic Emergency Response Network held emergency meetings to discuss what they'd witnessed. For centuries, their protocols had been based on the assumption that there were limits to what rescue operations could accomplish. Certain environments were simply too hostile for any known technology or biology to handle. The humans had just proved those assumptions wrong. They quietly updated their protocols. New category: Recommend Terror Response Team for Class 9 Death Zone Operations. The translation was simple. When everything's trying to kill you and physics itself seems hostile, call the humans. It was an admission that there were situations where only one species in the known galaxy could help. Insurance companies started offering human rescue coverage as a premium add-on for deep space expeditions. The fine print was interesting. Coverage applies only if Terran rescue teams are available and willing to accept mission parameters. Even the insurance companies understood that humans were the only option for truly impossible situations. 3 months later, it happened again. A passenger liner carrying 400 beings from 12 different species suffered a catastrophic engine failure and crashed on Vulcanes Prime during a major eruption. The planet was basically held with a surface temperature hot enough to melt lead, atmospheric pressure that would crush most ships like tin cans, and active lava flows covering 90% of the landmass. Every major rescue organization in the galaxy looked at the mission specs and politely declined. The Rigel Medical Corps sent a formal message expressing their deepest sympathies for the unfortunate loss of life. The Centauri Emergency Fleet marked the file as non-recoverable casualties. Military rescue units that had pulled people out of exploding battleships took one look and said absolutely not. That's when Captain Jake Morrison, now commanding a proper rescue vessel called Unstoppable with a crew of 30 specially trained humans, picked up the distress beacon. His reaction was priceless. He reads through the mission parameters: surface temperature of 200 degrees Celsius, atmospheric pressure 12 times normal, moderate volcanic activity, and actually smiles. "Hey, Lisa," he calls to his medical officer. "Remember that extraction we did from the mining station near that solar flare last month?" Dr. Lisa Park looks up from her equipment checks. "The one where the radiation was cooking our instruments?" "Yeah, that was fun." Jake grins. "This looks easier." His crew starts prepping with the kind of enthusiasm that would terrify most species. Engineer Amy Walsh is already modifying their heat shields, talking excitedly about interesting thermal dynamics. Security Chief Dave Cooper is reviewing tactical plans for operations in active lava zones, like he's planning a weekend camping trip. The galaxy watches his preparation with a mixture of awe and terror. Here's a crew of 30 humans getting genuinely excited about flying into conditions that would kill anyone else, treating it like an interesting challenge rather than a suicide mission. They're not just willing to attempt the rescue. They're looking forward to it. That's when the galaxy learns something important. Humans don't just answer the call when everyone else says no. We show up with enthusiasm, professionalism, and the kind of casual competence that makes the universe a safer place for everyone else. And that makes the galaxy very, very grateful humans are on their side.